Today we're talking the PlayStation 5 1 year later, and is it worth it? Let's dive in. My name is Tyler, welcome back to Nanotech, and yes, we've now been hands-on with a PlayStation 5 for an entire year. Today, we're talking hardware really quickly. Gonna talk about some of the updates that have sort of released over the last year, then talk about some games, the controller, and ultimately, do I think the PlayStation 5 is worth your time, your money, and all of that. Of course, obviously the elephant in the room, it's still really difficult to get one, and that's because, facts here, this is actually the second fastest selling console in this time window, only behind the Wii. Yeah. Probably a lot of those in the hands of scalpers and others, but the reason why you can't get a hold of one is because so many people want their hands on one. Mad unfortunate, but also the fact that Sony's been able to sell that many consoles in the last year, quite impressive. So first up and quickly, hardware. It makes a statement. Tell me down below, I'm curious, do you want your console to make a statement in your entertainment setup? I will say one thing that kind of bugs the crap out of me is that this stand is not very good. It's fine like this. I personally don't have the room in my entertainment setup to have it vertically, so I have to do horizontally. It doesn't hold it very well, so like plugging stuff into the USB drives, it like moves it. That part's pretty frustrating. Other than that though, it is massive. It makes a statement. I do personally like the aesthetic of it. Also curious, has it grown on you if you didn't like it before? And if you liked it last year it was revealed, do you still like it? Me personally, I do. I haven't customized one. I know you can get like a D brand or anything like that. I'm very excited to see what they do with customization. Love the aesthetic of the red and black controllers that they've released thus far, and would love to see a console like this, or obviously one designed around like a game, like a Horizon Forbidden West console or a God of War Ragnarok console. Definitely excited to see if they do some limited editions, because Series X already has one in the form of a Halo limited edition Series X console. So definitely excited to see what PlayStation does with their first limited edition PS5 console. Now, it is massive. I do have a nice little comparison here. Don't want to go too crazy with it because I've already done one once before, but look at this. Like, bro, dude, I feel like this is the 5'11", 6-foot meme. So yeah, if you haven't seen one in person, the PlayStation 5, massive. So next up, let's talk one of the first massive upgrades they did for this, and that was finally, after like, what, 9-10 months, enabling it to where we could actually install our own M.2 drive. Now, before you go out there, before you buy one, definitely make sure that what you're looking for needs to be Gen 4, and make sure it is on a list of confirmed compatibility with your PlayStation 5. I personally went with a Western Digital Black SN850, and it has been fantastic. Now, installing it is super easy. I know it's not quite as easy as buying the Xbox's proprietary SSD, but you just have to pop the top off of this, unscrew one little cover, then plop your SSD down in, plug it in, screw it in, then put the big white cover back on, and boom, you are good to go. And then as soon as your PS5 boots up, then going to ask you if you want to format the SSD, which of course you do, so you can use it. Takes just a second, and then you're ready to go. And then you can hop into the menu and you can choose whether you want to install your PS5 games on the installed SSD or the actual internal built-in SSD. Same thing with PS4 games as well. It's super easy to use. Another sort of update that they added was a customization of the control center, which was so welcomed. I hated the fact that the freaking power button was all the way at the far right. To me, it made more sense to be at the far left. The first thing that you were greeted with when you went to your control center, and you can fully customize that. You can take buttons in and out of the actual control center, and you can put them in the places that you want them to be. So that was actually really, really awesome. Now, as far as the UI goes, I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I do miss themes from PS4. I can't make this video and not mention that. There are no themes for your PS5. They are keeping it very to the point. No themes so far. Another benefit currently of the PS5 over the PS4 is that the PlayStation Store does load incredibly fast. It's just there, it's built into the UI. There's no launching a separate app and it taking like freaking forever to get in to download your PS Plus games or any of that stuff. It's awesome. So I do like all of that. Definitely glad they added the control center customization. Oh, and of course, if you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you're new, consider subscribing. We're on that road 50,000 subs here on this channel. Now, the thing I don't like, and I do want to mention this in case you have forgotten or didn't realize it, on the box, it tells you that this comes with 825 gigs. Now, me myself, I gave Sony the benefit of the doubt. I thought when they first showed this off that there was a terabyte SSD installed in this and that they were showing you the total usable amount of storage you would have. So you have a 1 terabyte, the OS and pre-installed software took you down to 825 gigs. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. Shouldn't have given them the benefit of the doubt because it's 825 total and the actual usable. When you open this up and go to install your games, 667 gigs. That is a shame. What is that? Also worth noting, in case you're curious, the M.2 that you install, and this is courtesy of Digital Foundry, in some cases loads games faster, depending on the one that you picked up, than the actual pre-installed one on the PS5. That is beyond impressive. So like if you were worried about potentially having slower load times or anything like that, or some hiccups in your games, there are literally instances where the actual like aftermarket one that you install runs better than the one that came with it. However, to say that, games still load so fast on this thing. Like I'm still not used to just how fast games load on this. It's such like a fun experience to just load up a game now. Whereas previously it was like a time to pull out your phone and like text and all of that. And now with the PS5, you don't really have to do that. There's no browsing Twitter in between loading screens. Everything just loads so buttery smooth and it's a really awesome experience. So next up, the controller. What is there to say? There's haptic feedback. There's adaptive triggers. The controller itself feels good. I mentioned this in my other review. My favorite controller of all time is the DualShock 4, so take that for what you will. But I do still really like the DualSense. My only complaint is that the battery on this is not that great. However, if you're not a fan of the adaptive triggers, if you're not a fan of the haptic feedback or how intense they might be, you can adjust their intensity in the settings. And I've done some tests for myself, and turning those off entirely or playing games that don't utilize those as much does offer you more battery life, which makes sense because it having to give you force feedback on the adaptive triggers is obviously going to take more battery power to do so. So if those are disabled or maybe turned down to a lesser degree, then it's obviously going to drain your battery less. But even with doing that, you're still not getting much over like 12, 13 hours. And in my tests, most of the time it lasts like 8 to 10. So again, take that for what you will, but the controller is fantastic. I definitely think it's one of the nice additions to this current generation and to the PS5. And I think the controller, in my personal opinion, once stuff starts utilizing it more, is a massive dub for Sony and for PlayStation. However, the only game that has truly utilized it and made me go, what? Still, to this day, is Astro's Playroom. And if you have one of these, or you're about to get one of these, do not skip Astro's Playroom. For one, if you're big into the whole history of PlayStation, it's awesome for that. And for two, it is quite the experience with this DualSense controller. All right, so next up, let's talk games. Now, people created a meme because these are hard to get a hold of, and it's like, well, why would you want one? There's no games to play anyway. It's so wrong. So as far as exclusive games that we've had in the last year, of course, the largest amount that we had dropped was actually in the initial launch lineup with Sackboy, with Astro's Playroom, with the Demon Souls remake, with Miles Morales. Now, I'm gonna stop you there. I know it came out on PS4 as well, but Miles Morales looks insane on a PS5, and it's absolutely the way that Insomniac intended on you experiencing that game. So I'm still counting it. I'm still counting it. Now, beyond the actual launch lineup, we've had things like Returnal drop, which I personally haven't got to beat yet. I'm about 3 hours into, but that game is quite the experience. Looks awesome. The audio is crazy. It's probably the first game that's really been like, okay, this is their new like audio tech that they were touting on the PS5. That game is really, really cool. Also utilized the controller pretty well too. Then my current game of the year dropped over the summer, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. That game is insane, okay? And of course, an exclusive on the PS5. I don't think there's any way a PS4 could have run that game anyway. Insomniac really utilized the SSD to load environments incredibly fast. Plus, there were moments where I was looking at that going, I mean, I feel like I'm watching like a Pixar pre-rendered digitally animated movie, but like it was still in action. So beyond just the load times and the way it looked, the game itself was just a ton of fun. So if you enjoy platformers and you just enjoy having fun with a video game, check out Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. And lastly, as far as of filming this, Deathloop. Now I know it's only a timed exclusive, but I did personally love that game. That game was so much fun. It looked great, it felt great, and Deathloop was an absolute blast. However, it doesn't end there, right? So we've had actual PS4 games upgraded to PS5 and actually be proper like PS5 releases. This includes things like Death Stranding, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, Spider-Man. If you picked up the, I think what was it, Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, you got the 2018 Spider-Man game upgraded to PS5. 5, which at the launch of this apparently was bricking some consoles that has since been patched, so you're good on that. But yeah, Spider-Man on the actual PS5 also looks crazy. And we can't not mention Ghost of Tsushima here having a proper PS5 release. And if you didn't think that game could get any better, you're wrong. Because that game is just the definition of breathtaking when it comes to a video game in 2021. And then it doesn't end there, because they actually patched PS4 games. They gave PS4 games a whole new life. Think Days Gone. That game struggled to run on a PS4 Pro. I like pushed through that game on the PS4 Pro, and now on a PS5, it runs so beautifully. I literally have a friend that wouldn't play it because he was tired of like it just sludging along basically on a PS4 Pro. Loaded it up on PS5, restarted over, and just went straight through the entire like 50+ hour campaign. Like he just couldn't get enough of it. And it's just really impressive to see what giving those games a new life, more power, the power of the PlayStation 5, what it can do for them. Other games include Ghost of Tsushima actually got a proper PS4 patch, Last of Us Ratchet & Clank 2016, and finally Horizon Zero Dawn got a proper patch on the PS5. Been waiting for that one pretty bad. I love the story of Aloy, and that bridges us into our next section, which are games to look forward to, right? This is everything that's launched in the last year, and then games to look forward to and why you'd want to probably pick one up. Horizon Forbidden West coming out here in just a few months looks breathtaking. Gran Turismo 7, God of War Ragnarok. These next two are really far off, but still we gotta mention them. Insomniac and Marvel's Spider-Man 2, as well as the surprise drop of freaking Wolverine. All exclusive to this machine right here. Also, you can look forward to things like Grand Theft Auto 5. Again. And lastly, not to just drag this on too long, but while they are third-party games, still worth mentioning, things like Resident Evil 8, which looks and runs fantastic on the PlayStation 5, Hitman 3. It Takes Two. Don't sleep on that. If you have a friend that you like playing games with, It Takes Two is a really fun experience and looks crazy. And of course, they also dropped the beloved Hades on here too. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can play, and ultimately, the last year of owning this has been a blast. Am I gonna tell you it's like my favorite first year experience of a console? No, probably not. But I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with this console, and I'm definitely happy to actually have one to be able to have these experiences. Now, obviously, I'm also very much so excited about what's to come. We don't even know what a lot of the first-party studios are even working on right now. Things like Bluepoint, the remastered gods have been acquired by Sony. They're actually now a first-party studio. If you're not familiar, Bluepoint are who remastered Demon's Souls. They also did like the Uncharted collection, stuff like that. If you're not familiar with Bluepoint, I promise you, you've played some of Bluepoint's games. Naughty Dog is obviously working on another game. Hopefully, it's not just the Last of Us remake. There's a rumor that they're working on a Last of Us remake. Personally, didn't think we needed that. It is what it is. Definitely want to see them working on like a new IP or bringing back an old IP, whatever it might be. But I hope our next Naughty Dog game is not just the Last of Us remake. Who knows? And Ben Studio, which are the people behind Days Gone, which again, personally, one of my favorite games of the entirety of the PS4 generation. And so I'm definitely excited to see what Ben Studio is working on. Actually, I'm very excited to see what Ben Studio is working on. So a lot of first-party studios, we don't even know what they've got coming down the pipeline. So there's just a lot of stuff to be excited for with this console. And I'm mentioning all these exclusives because that's just what's rooted into PlayStation culture, right? Anytime you mention two consoles, the thing that always gets brought up are the exclusives on PlayStation. And for good reason. They are fantastic experiences. I'm not shy about it. I'm a massive PlayStation fan. I've got so much PlayStation just like memorabilia in this room with me. It's just where I've had some of my favorite experiences. So ultimately it comes down to the real question here. Is this worth it? Is this worth your money? Is this worth your time? Yes, if you can get it at retail. Do I think you should be spending $800, $900, $1,000, secondhand market on a PS5? No. Like no. The MSRP is there for a reason. You start getting into that. I'd say you're talking about a PC. You're not really right now because the prices on everything are just absolutely insane. But still, that's just crazy. Like $500 for a console is already so much money. And there is a lot of tech here. There's a lot of tech here. But at the end of the day, you still gotta pick up the games. If you wanna pick up, an M.2, you start getting in real deep here, like really, really deep. I mean, gaming is not a cheap hobby anyway, but paying people an extra $300, $400 for this console is just nuts to me. So I can't say it's worth it at that point. But if you can get one at retail, yes, I think you're gonna have a ton of fun with it, especially if you haven't been able to get one yet and you dive in like today. There are so many like experiences you're gonna be able to have that you're gonna have so much time through the holidays and more than enough content to get you to Horizon, to get you to Gran Turismo, to get you to a ton of third-party games releasing, in February. Just in February alone, we're getting Elden Ring. You care about Saints Row, we're getting Saints Row. Like, There's so many games, I can't even mention them all here, it'd be here for forever, that are coming out just even within the next few months that, boom, PlayStation 5. So yes, I think it's worth it at retail 100%. I think it's worth every second of your time and your money if you care about gaming at all. And while I don't want to take up too much more of your time, there is no Game Pass true competitor over here on PlayStation right now that really, you know, it's massive value. PlayStation Now is getting better, but can't argue PlayStation Now over Game Pass at all. I still think with the experiences that you can have on this console, yes, it is worth it. So it gets the nanotech seal of approval over here on the channel. I've enjoyed all my time with this console, really have, and I'm definitely looking forward to what they have next for us over the next year. So stay tuned for maybe a year and a half, maybe a 2-year review, who knows? But that's it from me. Y'all have a great day. Keep on keeping on. Let me know down below what you're excited for to see next on the PlayStation 5 and maybe your favorite thing so far as well. But that's it for me, y'all. Have a great day. Keep on keeping on. Tyler signing off, and I'll see you all in the next video.